Thank you. So I want to thank you everybody for being here tonight. It's always very nice to see a lot of friendly faces. So let's start with the event. Tonight, Speck&Tech is going to talk about intelligent cars. Thanks. Never remember anything. Sorry, it's not my English is broken. I need to talk about our sponsors, which helps us building this wonderful event. So, Impact Hub, which is the very place where you are right now, so like this place. It's a co-working space. They are expanding to a new part of the Albere, and slice after another slice, they're going to eat up the whole Albere. And if you're looking for a co-working space, this is the place to be in Trento. Then Becca, which is my company, and thank you, thank you, €5 later. We are basically sponsoring the event and helping organizing the whole stuff with the help of EAT Digital, represented here by Francesco, which is the other awesome guy, and we are telling each other we are awesome, so it's legend. And then we want to thank GitHub, which may be a little bit huge as a sponsor, but really it just sent a lot of stickers if you because like everyone here probably, we like putting stickers on our laptops, so we are stalking companies and asking for stickers for free. So if you want more stickers, just write on our Slack space and ask for more stickers. I will email the companies. There are a lot of them because I wrote that we are like 100 people, so there are like a lot of stickers.
We got some people asking how they can contribute, how can you suggest stuff. For example, there is an awesome company that you would like to get the stickers from. We have a Slack team, you can join it. We have some discussion happening, some conferences,
mostly about stickers.
Discussions, yeah. And mostly about stickers, so you can suggest it there.
Yeah. Then Stack Overflow, yeah, we sent a lot of other stickers. Really, we want just to thank them because I mean it's just 100 stickers, but they are nice. And then Spindox, which will be our nice guest, second one, and OpenMove, which are the other team. Now they're all in blue, like Ferrari team, Formula 1 team. Yeah. And then, as always, Segata, which is everyone's favorite sponsor because we give food. And yeah, this is basically it. We want to thank you, every one of you, for keep coming. This is like the 8th or the 9th event. Yeah, 9th event. We are going to have our first birthday as Speck&Tech in the next days.
Yeah,
probably
Wednesday is going to be our first birthday, 1 year that we organized the first meeting for Speck&Tech. So we have 20 events, including an informal one, and actually, if you go on our website, you can see all the slide shares, every slide deck of the people that presented, a brief description, you can find the job openings, you can also suggest more, and we will be really willing to share them within our community. And if you move to them. Yeah. And yeah, you have all the different topics that we talked about, like last time we had the spinning up, then taking off, and this time. And what's most incredible that we already have a date for the next event that we will tell you later.
Yeah, a date, not like with a girl. Like, yeah. And yeah, a little thing about the birthday of Speck&Tech. I want to really like. I'm really proud of what's happening here because we're not in New York, we're not in Milan. Trento is like a small town compared to most of the tech giant cities, and it's very nice to see that you want to participate, that there is a discussion and an environment growing, and this is what I dreamt about when I started Speck&Tech with France, and it is awesome.
And a lot of other people, and we say a lot of times, but there's at least 10, 15 people that work every time to the realization of this event. Not only the people that work constantly every week to decide who to invite, where to make the event, which are the sponsors and so on, but those are the people that come here like 1 hour before just to cut the spec. So I don't know, probably they're still cutting it, I guess. But yeah, thanks and a big applause to all of them. And if you haven't done it yet, we have our Facebook page. We also created a bot that will reply you, telling you when it's the next event. I don't know if it's running anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fuel.
Great.
Unless the fuel runs out of the morning.
Okay. And the most interesting thing that you might be.
Oh no, just one thing. We have a Telegram bot. Sorry, a Telegram channel as well, and a Slack channel as well. Follow everything. Yeah. And that's next thing.
Yeah, and the next thing is that this month we will have 2 events. And the next one will be a really big event on the 9th of March that we will organize with all the tech communities in Trento. So it's going to be us, Speck&Tech, the guys from Google developers group in Trento, the people from Trentino Cloud Computing, Hub Innovation Trentino, and the guys from SILA Trento. So all of the tech communities will put together their efforts and make this event about the next cloud, which is the annual event from Google where they talk about the different technologies and different features and the new releases about the cloud. So feel free to join us. We will disclose more details in the upcoming weeks. And right now, the event has been published on Facebook. So if you go on your Facebook application, you will see, and you can also join it and get a ticket.
Again, from the point of view that I was telling you before about the birthday and blah, 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 this is actually sponsored by Google. I mean, it's not like they're giving stickers. It's been a Google guy writing me, hey, I saw Speck&Tech, it's a nice thing, it's a nice thing. We should make contact with the guys of GDG. And again, this is working somehow, so it's a lot bigger than it thought.
And actually, we have our second event for March. That is our Speck&Tech event, and it's on the 13th of March. It's incredible. We already have the date, and we already have the speakers. And okay, we cannot give you more details just because we want to build the hype of it. But it's on the Monday right after the other event. So that week, remember, because we have an event on the 9th and an event on the 13th. Okay, so just put it on your calendars because it's gonna be awesome. All right. We are ready to start, I would say, and we have actually 4 speakers tonight, or 3 speakers from 2 different companies. And the first guys talking now are Lorenzo Modena, the CEO of OpenMove, who will give you a brief introduction of what is OpenMove, what they're doing, what their technology, and their overview. And then we have Michele Margoni, that is the CTO, and will tell you a bit more about the architecture and dive deep into the architecture of OpenMove. So welcome them on stage. OpenMove. Okay, one more second, I will prepare the stage for them. Wait a second. No, wait, stay still. COSTA. Okay, yeah. Make it bigger.
Well, thank you guys. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I promise that I'm not going to waste your time, because the main stage is going to be for my colleague, who is the CTO of the company. I will just give a brief introduction and tell our story. So OpenMove, well, is a company that designs and develops software for intelligent transportation. And we started the company in 2014 because of 2 main reasons. The first one being that year, the autonomous province of Trento, they held the Open Data Challenge. And it was a huge event. They opened open data for lots of different purposes, and there were open data for transportation as well. And we decided to take advantage of it, and we started thinking, well, let's make something out of there. So the first thing is very, very concrete. And the second thing is, why is transportation interesting? Well, for 2 reasons. The first one being the huge hype for smart cities, and the second one is the huge hype for mobile payment. And we really thought 3 years ago that those 2 topics would have become a major trend in the market, and we are more or less right so far. And well, okay, we decided to make a company, to build a product out of open data for transportation, and what did we have in mind? Well, everybody was doing like timetables using open data and stuff like that. We wanted to make money out of it, and we thought that out of open data, we knew how much the different transport tickets cost, basically, and we could engineer a mobile ticketing solution, and that's what we did. But 3 years ago, I was 27 years old. I had another company, and I still have it, and it uses to manufacture timekeeping system for sport. And it's hard to sell something to the government. I mean, 27 years old, a company that does anything but, I don't know, working with the government, so we had no previous reference. And we needed the first one to start. And it proved to be really, in a certain way, simple, and in another way, very difficult. Why am I telling that? Because we needed to make an amazing impression out of our elevator pitch. People, startuppers are used to give elevator pitches to investors, to, I don't know, possible users. I needed to give an elevator pitch to the public administration. And what happens with the public administration is that you call, and the secretary answers, and she says, okay, the director is not here, he's busy, well, didn't I tell you, he's on vacation right now, he's out for a business trip. Well, it's really complicated to make the first contact. Yet I kept trying. I called like 30 times in a row. And I don't know, maybe one day she was on strike, I don't know what happened, but the director answered himself. So in that moment I knew that I had exactly 30 seconds to make a huge impression, and that's what I managed to do. And I convinced him to give us the opportunity to present what we were building. And we got there. We showed the prototype. Of course, we didn't say that it was a prototype. I mean, it looked to him like a nicely closed and polished product. It was not. That was basically just the front end. It took like 9 months to build, and in 2015, the app was ready. So it's 2 years, more or less 2 years, that we're selling transport tickets here in the province of Trento, bus, train, cableway, and ski bus tickets. Back then we had just one customer, and we basically gave them the product for free. So thank you guys. And we have been able to sustain the company thanks to public funding. There are different ways you can start and bootstrap a company, and I'm not talking about the front end for HTML. I'm talking about how to kickstart a startup and be able to run the company for the first months. We took advantage of public funding. In fact, I think that among this company and my other company, we have been able to get more than 350,000 euros equity free. And it was a good way to start. I mean, we still own the company. I mean, we didn't care about giving investor pitches and stuff like that. Plus, I mean, when it's about a B2G business, so when you sell things to the government, well, investors, they don't like it. So we didn't even need the money. We have the money already. In 2016, what did we do? Well, we realized that the app was cool, that there was some interest among other clients, and we needed to expand the software solution by making it available for several clients. And that was hard. I mean, you start with one app, with one customer, specific needs by that customer, and we needed to scale up and to build a complete infrastructure out of it, especially the part that makes transport agencies able to control and to manage the entire system. And that's what we did with a very unique philosophy, which is a plug-and-play philosophy. What happens is that all of our competitors, they claim on their websites, on their brochures, that they take just weeks or months to go to the market because of their fast. Screw them. We take minutes to go to the market. Why? Because what happens with transport agencies that sign up on OpenMove, well, at first they can even sign up and they can create and publish tickets in literally 5 minutes. That was our, I don't know, way of scaling up. We didn't have the resources to make contacts, to engage with them, to customize and to deploy different products one by one. We decided to take the leap and to make them able to do that by themselves. And yeah, that led for us to having several customers, to be able to run the company, sustaining it on revenues. And then something else happened. We realized that it's huge to go to the market on our own. I mean, we want to be a technology provider. We're good at making software. It's really hard to have a sales network and to go, yeah, in any case, directly to the customer. They're able to customize and to publish the ticket by themselves, but it's anyway hard to convince them to do that. So the cool thing, I mean, we have been lucky and good enough to accomplish that. Was a partnership with a huge company, which is Ericsson, and we have been in contact with them for like 1.5 years. We won a startup competition they held in the end of 2015, and back then it seemed to me like something of corporate social responsibility. The big company that wants to appear smart, and I mean, yeah, I thought that they didn't care. And for 3 or 4 months, it was like that. I mean, we even had the possibility to have an office in Rome. They supported us in some ways, but I mean, I didn't see the potential there. But luckily they did, and during the past year, they've been involving us in 5 different projects in 3 or 4 states in the world, in Europe, but also in Middle East. I've been there 4 times in the last few months. And yeah, that's really cool for a start, since you have a huge partner, and they trust you. They are big, so they can bring you to the customer. In fact, I mean, we're subcontractors with for them in huge intelligent transportation software. And yeah, it's a very good experience. Maybe I'm going to talk about that later, a few more. And what's happening here in 2017 is those kind of things. But the first one is one of our clients is a huge transport agency in Italy that moves people from airports to big cities. And they needed a mobile ticketing solution, yet they also needed a paper ticketing solution. The market is going towards mobile ticketing. Well, nobody doubts that, but I mean, there will always be somebody without a smartphone, especially nowadays. So in order to be to have a complete solution, we needed to build a paper ticketing solution as well, and that's what we did. So right now, if a transport agency publishes tickets on OpenMove, well, we can provide also with all the stuff they need to print tickets, to deliver tickets, to distribute tickets, to, I don't know, work offline, to check with paper tickets and stuff like that. The second thing is Project X, and I'm going to talk about that later. And of course, God knows. I mean, I don't believe in God, but I believe that there is somebody that knows things that are going to happen, and that guy is not me. So right now we have 3 different business lines, and the first one is OpenMove. And Michele will talk about OpenMove in all the technical details. What I can say is that it's a branded product. So our goal here is to have a huge brand We provide the software with an as-a-service revenue model. Again, we don't ask for any setup cost. It's free to try. We charge the customers out of a fee of tickets sold. They require no hardware, so they don't have to, run the backend on their server. They don't need to purchase, some kind of proprietary smartphone to print the tickets. They don't need anything, yet an internet connection to again, maintain the solution. We take care of everything. It's completely end-to-end. And the main customer here is small and medium transport agencies. They don't have money to invest in paying for setups. They don't even need a brand new solution. I mean, they just need a digital sales channel. They don't want their own app, like other big guys want. And yeah, in this case, we can perfectly target small and medium transport agencies, even private ones, even agencies that provide transportation for tourism, for example. Even if you, hold a concert, hold a sport match, and you want to collect money out of parking, out of the shuttles that are going to bring people there, well, we can provide with a free solution to do that. And in this case, with OpenMove, the business is B2G, business to government, and B2C. I mean, there are eventually going to be users that are going to use the app to find and pay for tickets. The other line of business that we have right now is the one that came up by having a partnership. Right now we have one, but we're very close to sign the second one with another huge company, to provide them with software development, which is, again, for big clients, like, and I'm talking about ministries of transportation of several states in the world in this case. And they want a white label solution, so we rearrange the blocks, we customize everything they want, and we make money out of that upfront. So it's really good. And the business model here is completely B2B. We don't engage directly with the final client, we engage with the big guys that have the contact with the government. So, I mean, it's great business model here, since we don't have a huge sales effort. And the third thing that we're going to launch in the next few weeks, maybe you've seen a survey online. We were asking about some questions about how you relate with parking. Well, lots of people during the last 2 years, why don't you do something that allows you to find parking, to pay for parking, and stuff like that? Well, OpenMove, in fact, and this is, even from last year, we allow transport agencies to sell parking slots as well. But we wanted to do more. We don't want any further relationship with the authority, with the government, with the transport agencies. We're sick of that with this line of product. Well, for the other lines, God bless them. But we decided to engineer a completely B2C solution. And what is that? Well, it's super simple. There are people looking for parking, and there are people that just left their parking slot empty. And I don't want to say more. You will discover more in the next few weeks. But it's one app, and it allows to matchmake these two types of interests, which are very, very complementary. So keep looking for us, since we're going to give you some further information on our social networks and websites and stuff like that. And yeah, I am going to pass over to Michele for all the technical things. Thank you.
I don't know the time we have more because the clock doesn't work. So I don't know how
Lucky for us.
So here I am. I'm Michele Margoni. I'm the CTO of OpenMove. I talk quickly. and I work with the group from 1 year. Before I was having, I was working with for big IT companies. It was engineering. It was a big company with more than 7,000 employees, and I decided to change and starting working for Little Reality for many reasons. One of the big reasons I have decided to take a leap is just to have the possibility to make the difference and not be treated like a number. And in OpenMove I found the perfect team and the perfect perspective, and I like it very much, and so on. As Lorenzo has said, I'm talking about the infrastructure and the technologies we are using in OpenMove. OpenMove, in this slide, I just pick up all the technologies we use in the app OpenMove for the final client and the other things. First, we use Cordova because with Cordova we have the possibility to build very quick iOS and Android apps, not building native, but just having the quickest way to make it. Android app we use for making the inspector apps, as Lorenzo has said, because in our OpenMove world we have the different app and different service, and one of them is Android native for devices Android, and it is I'm talking later. Meteor, we use Meteor framework for having the possibility to for example, enable reactivity in our project and make a lot of things. AngularJS, as you know, is a front-end framework and we use it in the admin platform, and I see later in another slide. MongoDB we use for having databases and data managed in MongoDB replicas. And last but not the least, we use Docker for containerization of all our service and make it production ready and other things I said later. OpenMove world, I go quickly because Lorenzo has said a lot of things about that. And we have end users apps called by iOS Android that you have already used for ticketing and for have the possibility to get ticket for the public transport and now for private. And the other things is Inspector app. As I said before, we use a native Android app for build an app for the agencies to get the possibility to verify the ticket sold via OpenMove app. The Collector app is the last app we have made in our group. It collects all the functionalities of the Inspector app, but also give the possibility to sell printed ticket. So it has a Bluetooth portable printer and give the possibility to agencies that sell ticket, for example, in a railway or out of the station for private bus transportation to sell easily printed ticket. And also this ticket gets into the OpenMove world as the normal ticket sell via OpenMove. The core server is the main server that give all the functionalities to all the apps and collect all the functionalities via server. Ticketmaster server collects all the information given from the collector app. Admin platform, as Lorenzo has said, is our admin platform that enables agencies that wants to quickly go to the market with some ticket created and collect all the ticket selling via OpenMove app, and also give the possibility to have independently cash out for the agencies. So it has the plug and play approach that has Lorenzo said. Odino monitoring system is our monitoring system with Nagios that we have built for having all the alarm system and all the possibility to avoid unreachable system, unreachable service of our world. Tor Super Admin Platform is an admin platform that enables super users, also as our group or others, to have a deep look at all the things, all the things that happens inside the world of OpenMove. And also give the possibility to have some functionalities, for example, enabling new agencies to sell tickets and so on. As Lorenzo has said, we have with this new possibility to get involved by Ericsson and big IT companies to approach different strategies of project management. Normally, a startup and also us adopt a bottom-up strategy or approach. Bottom-up strategies, it's like Agile, Scrum or something like that, enable startups or groups to get more quickly, to have a prototype, to directly have in touch with all the stakeholders and get feedbacks as quick as possible. The other approach that has big IT companies is the top-down approach that in fact want to have a big and long analysis phase to get all the information of the system and the problem, and after all, only after all, have the possibility to make code and have something to make test. And this is the main difference we have to manage because we don't make like that. Who we were. This is just our first representation of our system. It was very simple and the first step for OpenMove world. As you said, there are not so much functionalities and not so much services represented in a public way to the end user and something into the service side. After that, what we are now. For having the possibility to manage a lot of projects and a lot of things with these big IT companies, we start to think how to reuse all the code we have made. And we have started to think how to get all the functionalities that can get inside packages that we can reuse for other packages. As you can see, we have a lot of microservices, also users way and server way. And for example, I don't have to list all what you can see. And we have decided also to organize better the data layer for having a better management of the data and availability of all the service with the data. And this is what the big IT company wants from us, because normally they manage very complex projects, and in this picture I want to highlight that we are only here. And we have to manage a lot of service, a lot of interaction with other service, and we have to guarantee that our service are every time available. And for that we have rethinking of something with Meteor and MongoDB. In the first OpenMove app, we have a single database that manages all the things that the OpenMove app and the OpenMove admin can do. After that, we have decided to splice the function, the data stored into MongoDB in different databases and we have decided to abstract a new layer of data packages that interact directly with the data inside MongoDB. And these packages, Meteor packages, can be imported and used in all our apps. And for having the multi-user assets into all our OpenMove world, we have decided to set the same database for all our Meteor apps for having the users accessing to all our apps. And we have made a lot of work in that. The main things we have made is is setting up a cluster for guarantees, high availability, fault tolerance, load balancing, and disaster recovery in project, as I said in the before slide, for having our services every time, every minute, every second available. And we have decided to use the Docker Swarm cluster. Docker Swarm cluster is a very easy way to clusterize all your production service you want to make available. And it's very easy because they have two actors, a swarm manager, we have three swarm manager, and the workers. The workers are the main actors that encapsulate the service and make it available from outside. The cluster with the managers permits to have the fault tolerance because the managers are the main point, the entry point of all the requests made from the outside of end users that want to make some requests to the system. So the managers manage all the balance, all the requests between the services, and we have three managers to make the fault tolerance just in case the leader one managers became unreachable and the other two can make the work from him. This is a very quick explanation. We have, for example, our ticket master already in production running into a swarm cluster. And it's very nice because we have 5 different sites in DigitalOcean, 5 different droplets in different sites for just having disaster recovery in case of disaster recovery. And the load balancing, it's guaranteed from inside the Docker Swarm cluster, because when you decide to deploy a service, the cluster manages all the worker he has inside the system and decide on which node, in case of on how the node is working in exactly time, and decide which one can have the service inside. And also in case one worker has some problem with memory or something like that, can decide to just move the service into the other worker very easily, very easily. This is the main difference that we have started in 1 month ago in production for the ticket master. And the other interesting things we have made, and we have set up an Odino monitoring system that permits with 2 Nagios environment, with 2 instances of Nagios to monitoring all our service and get all the alarm to the system and manage all the nodes, all the sites, all the droplets we have for our production service. And for example, he make phone call thanks to Twilio, he make messaging from Slack into Slack, and he sent email. Phone call, for example, is only in a very alarmistic way. And this is just my.
Yeah, 1 more minute here, since I think it's going to be the most interesting part, I hope, because we're hiring, so do not keep calm, we're hiring. Who we are hiring? Well, a front-end developer, well, maybe it's Michele, the right guy to tell you that. A front-end developer that has experience on mobile HTML and CSS, with Cordova maybe, and well, of course, with JavaScript. An iOS developer, a native iOS developer, a native Android developer, a full-stack developer, so mostly with the usage of JavaScript, Node.js, database, preferably MongoDB, a system administrator, Linux, Docker, security and privacy aspects, and 2 not technical roles. The first one, an executive assistant, who's going to help on the business side of the company. It's really driving us nuts. And a sales manager. I mean, we have been strengthening partnerships with the big guys, not to rely on a huge sales effort, yet we do want to sell on our own, like we're doing right now, and we're hiring a sales manager as well. And you can reach us here on our website, on of course the social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and those are our emails. Yet of course we're here. We're going to be after. I'm right on time, I think. I mean, we're going to be here drinking beers, eating steak, and I really hope that we have been able to rise up your interest in what we do, and to, I mean, exchange business cards, a handshake, I don't know. Feel free to come over later. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenzo. I don't know what yeah. It's working? Yeah, great. Question and answers, 5 minutes before the break. Anyone? Was so clear? I know it was a lot of stuff, a lot of concepts, but anyone interested? Yeah, here it is.
Hi, one question. If I remember correct, Meteor works with WebSockets, and how do you scale the WebSockets?
And with the Docker Swarm, you have said before, we decided to start with the service Ticketmaster. It is a meter application that only rules as server for the collector apps. In Docker Swarm, it's very easy to scale the service because you have only to say to the cluster how many replica do you want to run inside the worker. And normally the request that the cluster receives from the outsides are balanced inside the service. Okay. In these things that you have said in Ticketmaster, we don't have the necessity to guarantee that the request goes every time to the same worker, because we have developed the Ticketmaster server to run as simple as possible. To don't have the session, to don't have the managing of different WebSockets or something like that. So it's not necessary for the cluster to have to guarantee the IP hash or something like that, to guarantee that the same call goes to the same worker. But also the Docker Swarm enables this, and we are just making this change to all the production that we have, and we are just analyzing all the things. But by now we have the Ticketmaster server that runs in 5 different services in 2 workers normally, and we don't have difficulty to scale up to the number of service we need.
Anything more? More questions?
What were the main challenges and trade-offs using Cordova to build the mobile application?
The main challenges is to get a very quick way to have iOS and Android app without having developers that are specifying to the iOS or Android developing. And also enables a lot of things that you can make in the web app inside mobile app. For example, transaction or CSS-like things or transform or something like that. And we decided the first decision to get Cordova, I think, was just to get the very quick way to go into the production and have Android and iOS without having Android and iOS developer. Because you only have to know Meteor, you only have to just pack the app for Android or iOS.
Final question?
I'm a loyal OpenMove customer since 2015, and I use the service during the summer to purchase daily tickets for the bus. I have a question to follow up the previous one, and probably I'm biased, but I'm also a iOS developer, so keep in mind that it's not a challenge.
So we want your business card later.
Okay, I'm not available for right now, but I'm surely rather be with you. Based on the open positions, are you going to build or plan to build native iOS applications for the customer or just for the ticket?
Asking for a friend.
Yes. It's not, maybe it's a secret and you are really not going to reply, but I noticed a little issue because the lack of state of the purchase tickets inside the application let me worry that maybe I won't be able to buy the ticket just right before needing it on the bus, because I'm going to the mountains and the coverage is not perfect and so on. So maybe a native application with a permanent state of the ticket can help in that regard. Thank you.
Well, just a comment from my side. Well, of course, we're going to develop new native apps like we have been doing, for example, with the Android environment. It really depends. I mean, there are no fixed rules in the company. I mean, it really depends on, again, the trade-off between the advantages and the pains. But it's a very political answer, and I know that. And yeah, over to Michele.
I can say to you that we are thinking an offline usage of the app. I just try to explain myself. We have some issue, as you said, that some races of the bus sometimes don't have the perfect coverage of the 3G or something like that. And we have decided, starting for other project, to thinking how a person can buy a ticket in online way and just validate the ticket offline way. Introducing some control of validation into the database ticket. For example, when I sold to you a ticket, the system registered that you have a ticket, and I have already sent to you the ticket. And the app via offline can permit to you to validate the ticket and use the ticket. And in case you're a fraudulent person that want to just make wrong things, for example, you can just try to I don't know, cancel all the database inside the mobile, or just erase the app from the device or something like that. The next time you are asking to the seller the ticket, the seller already knows that you have one ticket sent to you, and you can just not ask him again. This is just security measure, and we are planning to make more about the offline usage.
Thank you. An applause. Okay, kids, school is over. 5 minutes break. Go and grab a beer, and we will be back with the second speakers. Thanks again to our guys.
però ripeto, io sono sempre in fine sempre la roba. Ma è così che sarebbe. Però ti è piaciuto perché? Sì, perché della sciolta e io non so
No, perché a me? Fai una foto te. Vieni live. Ciao. Saluta, sei live.
Prendo uno e dico, oh, vuoi mangiare? Via, fuori dalle palle.
Aspetta, qua si cola questo. Si dà aprire il cuore.
Oh. Guys, we go back because we restart. Remember, every minute you're spending now talking, it's a minute that you have to wait more for the speaker. Okay. Everyone is in place, please. Okay, second talk. Thanks again to the guys from OpenMove, and now we have PAOLO COSTA, who is one of the co-founding partners of Spindox, which is a really big company, especially in the north of Italy. They have more than 400 people working for them. And they're also hiring, and they're starting a really cool, super secret project here in Trento, together with the Fiat laboratory that is just building up in Trento, in PAOLO. And I think, yeah, it's not so secret, but I mean,
it's so secret they are talking about tonight to one other people.
Yeah. So yeah, listen to them because they have a really interesting thing that they're presenting.
Big applause. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Well, first of all, I'm not a chief technology officer, and maybe this could be a problem for some one of you, but I would like to change the mood of this night because I would like to bring my experience. I do not have a technical background. I'm graduated in philology, and my interest for technology dates since 15 years, but I'm proud of my humanistic approach to technology. So I would like to try to bring this kind of feeling, this kind of mood tonight here to you, if you like. Just few words about Spindox, but I don't want to lose your time with long storytelling about my company. We founded Spindox in 2007, so this year is our 10th year. We are more than 400 people, and we do develop software. By the way, I saw a technological stack that sounds very familiar to us because many of the pieces of that technological stack are the same we use, with some significant difference, but we do more. We are a system integrator. We provide services maintaining big enterprise application for very large customers. Our customers are Vodafone, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, Ferrari as well, Unicredit, and so on, Ferrero, Valentino. We are based in Milan, but we established since 1 year in Trento as well, and we founded a subsidiary which is Spindox Labs. Maybe later Cristiano will briefly introduce the Spindox Lab. Spindox Labs, because we are doing a lot of interesting things here in Trento. Tonight, I'm going to explain what we are seeing and what we are doing in the world of the autonomous car, in which we are involved because of our connection with Fiat Chrysler Automobile. We are working on some different programs, both in Turin and Detroit. And I'm going to tell you something about what we are doing, not all of what we are doing, because many things are still covered, and I can tell you everything, okay? Okay, look at this picture. This picture is about the first the first autonomous car race, which took place last week in Buenos Aires. It was called Robo Race. By the way, there were just two vehicles in this competition, and before the race ended, one of the two cars crashed. And I decided to start with this picture because I was wondering if this picture is a sort of epitome of the situation in which we are today. So the question could be, are we running too fast? Are we driving too fast in the topic of the autonomous cars? Maybe yes. Maybe many problems are still on the table, and they are far to be addressed, to be solved. So I try to provide some insight about the major issues, the major problems that both tech companies and automobile industries are trying to address, are trying to solve today. Sometimes we are involved in some of these problems. Then I will give you some information about a specific piece of technology that we are providing in the environment of the autonomous car. This is basically my agenda. At the beginning, I would like to let you think about the car as a medium and not as a vehicle for transportation. I would like you to think the car as communication. Then another important point is the relationship between this medium and environment, because the car communicates constantly with the environment, and I would like to provide some insight about this point. More information about what we are doing and what we are seeing between Turin, Toronto, and Detroit, and I'm leaving to Toronto the next week, so I have Toronto in my mind, which is a nice place, by the way, and Trento with the Centro di Ricerca Fiat, and finally a deep dive on technology, because I would like to show you, even if I'm not the Chief Technology Officer, but with my poor instruments, I would like to show how we are addressing one of the major problems in the environment of the autonomous car, which is the data management layer. Okay? So, first of all, think about a car as a communication mean. Driving a car is communication. When we drive a car, we constantly communicate, we constantly interact with the vehicle itself, with other cars, and with the environment. By this mean, an autonomous car is hyper-communication, because an autonomous car communicates more often with more objects and providing more data. Unfortunately, the slide is cut from the right side, but you can read that as well. So let's start considering the car with a different heart, not the engine, but a sim. Well, it's a cultural. All the industry is built around the engine. All the car manufacturers are built around the engine, and the consumer as well, the car drivers, think about their cars starting from the engine, because the engine is still considered the heart of the car. Let's consider a sim as the heart of the car. And moreover, let's look at the automobile industry without a car. It's a sort of paradox, but the automobile industry is transforming itself very fast. We are involved in impressive transformation in the automobile industry in Italy and in the United States, and I can tell you that there is a lot of innovation from a cultural point of view today in companies like Fiat Chrysler and their competitors. We work with Fiat Chrysler, but sometimes Fiat Chrysler is moving slower than their competitors. So look at this picture. Here is I showed some figures provided by Intel about the amount of data produced by an autonomous car every day. We are talking about 4,000 gigabytes per day, each day. It's more than the data produced every day by 3,000 people. Data are produced by cameras, because as you certainly know, an autonomous car is equipped with cameras. Data are produced by radar, data are produced by sonar, data are produced by GPS, and data are produced by LiDAR. LiDAR, as you probably know, is a sensor device with interact with the environment, a sort of laser punching, and design a 3D map of the environment in real time. I'm going to provide more information about LiDAR later. No surprise that Intel is investing more than $250 million in the autonomous car in research. Last month, Intel announced a strategic partnership with BMW, and together, Intel and BMW announced that they are delivering their first autonomous car by 2018, so by the next year. Now, the problem is that on one side we have the auto manufacturers that are really focused on vehicle capacity. So they are working hard on the autonomous capabilities of the car. They want to reach the 5th level of autonomy. You know that there is a sort of scale and they divided the autonomy of the vehicle into 5 ranges. The ultimate result is when you reach the 5th level of autonomy. Consider that the Tesla today is between the 3rd and the 4th level of autonomy. Okay, so the auto manufacturers are very focused on the autonomy of the vehicle. On the other side, we have public administration, governments, and many other stakeholders focused on what we generally call smart city. The problem is there is no or few intersection between these two processes. So on one side, we are investing a lot of money on developing connected vehicles. On the other side, we are investing a lot of money as well on developing intelligent transportation system. But the intersection between these two researches stream is very few. So this is why, for instance, we have been involved here in Trento in an important project with Centro Ricerche Fiat that is focusing on this intersection. It is focusing on the role of an autonomous car in a smart city. It is focusing on the relationship between an autonomous car and a smart environment. Because again, we are talking about communication, and a smart vehicle requires a smart environment in order to be smarter. In fact, the problem is, the question is an autonomous vehicle really autonomous? Or, better said, to be autonomous, do you need to interact with your environment? Again, it should be considered a paradox, but the most the vehicle is autonomous, the most requires interaction with the environment. So it needs a lot of communication tools. to be autonomous. That's 20 minutes. 20 minutes?
10.
I spent 20 minutes talking. Incredible. I'm sorry. Okay. I go faster. What is interesting right now is the position of the two main players in the battle for the autonomous car. On one side, we have the tech companies, Silicon Valley. On the other side, we have the automotive industry, Detroit, or Torino, if you want, or maybe Tokyo. Well, we can say today that the tech industry, Google, Apple, are losing this battle because they understood how hard is moving from the prototype to mass production. Now is the manufacturer momentum. All the global manufacturers are running autonomous projects, even if they have partnerships with Google and Apple. Fiat Chrysler, as you know, as a partnership with Google. But what we understood is that this won't be a Silicon Valley business. This will be a Detroit business. Because as Elon Musk himself admitted recently, making rockets is hard, but making cars is really hard. So the mass production problem is slowing the process of developing the autonomous car within the Silicon Valley tech companies such as Google and Apple. So the connected cars landscape is becoming more complex. A lot of actors, a lot of stakeholders are involved in this business. Just to give you an idea, we are dealing with sensors providers, a lot of sensor providers that are specializing in providing sensors for the autonomous car. We are dealing with these people that are providing service delivery platforms for applications to be run inside the vehicle. And we are dealing, of course, with the enterprises. Another important point of view is the point of view of companies like Uber, because the question is, in the future, are we going on with the old personal car ownership model? If the answer is yet, the process towards the autonomous car will go slower. The people, the companies like Uber are even more interested in developing an autonomous car. Do you remember LiDAR? leader is an interesting example of the problems that we today are dealing with about communication, because leader is a system that interacts with the environment. But when it's raining, when you have a lot of fog, leader is blind. And the autonomous car is not autonomous. Because to be autonomous, the car needs to interact with the environment. So it needs to communicate. Autonomous doesn't mean isolated. So, the big problem with the autonomous car is communication with the environment. How to interact with the environment with GSM, maybe yes. 4G is not enough. We are looking for the 5G GSM, but different standards could be useful. Near field communication could be useful, because you can think about mesh networks, car-to-car communication, car-to-roadside communication. This is something that Spindox worked on a recent hackathon in Torino, and we, together with some people invited to our hackathon, we developed interesting solutions to address this problem. How to manage the autonomy of a car when you do not have any coverage of the network. Okay? But there is a light at the end of the tunnel about this problem. For instance, an interesting paradigm applied to the connected car is the fog computing paradigm. Because is everyone familiar with fog computing? It basically is the cloud computing at the ground level. Fog. I come from Milan. Believe me, So, yes. So, imagine a sort of cloud at the edge of the car, managing the communication between all the devices in the car, within the car, and decoupling this communication with the communication with other cars. Then you have the cloud. You can have analytics, cloud analytics, and device-to-cloud communication. So many applications communicating via cloud with the automobile. But the automobile has its own cloud, which is a fog, because it's on the ground level. For instance, when you enter into a tunnel, you lose the connectivity with the cloud, but you have the fog. So you can go on until you get the connectivity again. Another solution could be shadowing the systems of the car into the cloud. So the car, instead of communicating with the cloud, the car communicates with its shadow, within the cloud. Okay? These are an interesting example of service delivery platform, which is provided by Mojo. Mojo is an American startup funded by Amazon and by someone else very important, but I don't remember who. in any case, they received a lot of money to developing this service delivery platform that at the moment is under observation by Fiat Chrysler as well. Another service delivery platform is provided by Electrobit, which is fully owned by Continental. So, why? Okay, the last piece of my speech is about what we are doing at the moment. As I already mentioned, we are focusing on the data management layer. We are using architectures and technologies similar to the technologies that have been mentioned by OpenMove people. Of course, we moved to a containerization of our software for many reasons, but we also changed our development philosophies, and we adopted a microservices approach, like you. Why a microservices approach? Because with microservices you divide your problem into discrete pieces of logic. Microservices doesn't mean a very small service. Microservices are discrete pieces of logic. With very clear functional boundaries. So each piece makes one thing. It's very easy to manage, to maintain. It's very easy to deploy because you do not have intersections between each piece, especially if you develop with isomorphic code, which means that you can deploy your workload, your piece of software, both client side or server side, with no intervention. Same software. Okay. And you have multiple instances of the same artifact. So you need more workload, you multiply the number of artifacts, the number of instances of your artifacts. The data management layer we designed can be described in a metaphoric way as the central nervous system of human body, because it includes marrow, midollo, neurons, and synapses. This is the first architecture of our central nervous system that we released last year. As you can see, it includes pieces of technology that would sound familiar to many of you, like Spark. Gargantua is most a custom product, Elasticsearch and Kafka as well as a very, very known product. But today we are moving to a different solution, completely custom, which is really a central nervous system. Each data source interacts with single module. There is no correlation between the different modules, and we included a rule engine into this architecture in order to manage business rules, how do you say, a caldo. You don't have to switch the system off. And because you just use high-level language to modify the process and the way the system interact. This is something that we are using in many critical situations. For instance, we are developing how do you say, the telemetric system for a car manufacturer based in Maranello that we can't nominate name, and we are using the same architecture for the CRM, the mobile CRM that we delivered for Iveco, Fiat industrial vehicles. And the storage is provided by Couchbase. That is our alternative to MongoDB. I saw in the architecture we are using MongoDB. We had a lot of experience with MongoDB, but at the end of the day we moved to Couchbase. That is very interesting because it allows you to manage in a very smart way the problem of the online-offline synchronization, the problem that your customer had paying the tickets. So it's a very interesting technology.
What's the name again?
Couchbase. Couchbase. So, in the environment of the autonomous car, this data management layer, in our opinion, could be a crucial piece of the big picture. Obviously, the road ahead is still long. As I already mentioned, we are still facing with a lot of problems, but I want to leave you with this picture that is quite dated. It comes from 50s, I believe. 70 years ago, people was so far convinced that one day we will have autonomous cars, and I don't know how and when we will have autonomous cars, but because the road is still tricky, but we are working hard on it, and I hope to come here again to give more information about this process. Thank you.
Thanks, Paolo. 5 minutes of question and answers. It was fast.
So I have two open questions. I don't think there's a straight answer, but it's something that keeps me thinking. The first one is the ethical problem. Like, I don't know, you get one person on the road, or five people on the road, and the car has to decide if it's better to kill the driver or the 5 people. I know it's not the best argument, but it's something real. So that's the first one. And the second one is the security problem. Like, for example, we've shared data between cars. What would stop an hacker, I don't know, to insert malicious data in your car and make you crash, for example? Thank you.
Actually, good questions. Paolo?
Yes, very good. About first question, you probably know that Google itself did a survey very recently asking people if they would prefer driving a car An ethic car. An ethic car is a car that, in case of choice, can choose the smallest damage. Or a car that, in any situation, will prefer save the life of the driver. And the answer to this survey was that, in theory, the first approach is better, but if I have to buy a car, I would buy a car which is implementing the second rule. Okay? So, this is an ethical dilemma that is at the same time a commercial dilemma. Because if I implement this sort of ethic rule into the algorithm of the car, I'm delivering a car which is not appealing enough to the market. About the second point, Spindox is part of a sort of a task force which is working on this specific problem, the anti-hacking of the car. But the problem is not the autonomous car. The problem is today. The problem is with the current, for instance, as you probably know, Fiat runs Uconnect, which is the operative system of the Fiat. But they are dismissing it because it's not safe. It's not secure from a hacking point of view. So we are working on it. Thanks.
Two more questions. No one?
I have the microphone. I have just one question regarding the text level based communication bus. How about the security of that level? Because from my point of view, the whole thing is in plain text, which means that it's not encrypted in any way. How is this secured from the other levels of communication, considering that the whole thing is connected to the cloud and interconnected between cars?
It's a good question. I have no answer. Sorry. I was afraid that someone would this kind of question.
Next question?
Yes.
Sorry. Thanks, Tiago. €5 for yours.
Thank you.
In your opinion, what is the main technical problem? Is the main problem with autonomous driving? Is a technical problem, or is more like a regulation problem? What do you think? Why we still don't have autonomous driving right now?
Well, they are both technical and regulation problems. So, you know, in these weeks, the US Congress is debating on new regulations because the industry asking for less control and more freedom. But what we are expecting is that the US Congress will approve more restrictive regulations in the next weeks. And probably the new administration won't help the development of this industry. And another point is that at the moment, since there is a vacancy of federal regulation, every state in the United States has different regulations. For instance, in California, you can do more. In other states, nothing is allowed. Other states are in the middle, so it's a sort of mess in the United States. In Europe, is even worse, because in Italy, you even can't imagine an autonomous car running on the roads. If you visit San Francisco, you can have the opportunity to see an autonomous car going back and forth. Okay?
Final question, otherwise I think we... Okay, yeah, last one.
Okay, why does the car need to be connected to the internet all the time? I mean, it probably needs...
it does need... Sorry, I interrupted you.
It probably needs software updates and such, but why a permanent connection? You say that it needs the cloud or the fog, but...
No. I mean, there is no need for a permanent connection. On the contrary, we are convinced that to be autonomous, a car must be able to take its own decisions without connection. Otherwise, the car needs to be connected from time to time because it needs to interact with the environment. During our hackathon, we proposed to the teams this use case. You're driving a car, a smart car, and you have an accident. You go off-road and you are injured. You can't move. If you are driving a smart car, you want a car smart enough to call for help. You are not able to do it. So you want your car to do it for you. So, but if there is not network coverage, how your car call help? The answer could be by a mesh network. So you launch your SOS, which is intercepted by another car sharing the same communication protocol, the near-field protocol, with you. This car take your message with it until it enter into a covered area, and then transmit it to the emergency room, for instance. That's the reason why a connected car, a smart car, requires a smart environment. You need smart objects communicating with your car in order to resolve this kind of problems.
Okay, thank you again to Paolo. A big applause.
Thank you.
We want to tell you again that all the beers that you're drinking now are sponsored both by OpenMove and the guys from Spindox, so another applause.
Huge applause! Yes! Again, you can still donate money from your pockets to Speck&Tech, because Speck&Tech costs money, and it's all funded by Francesco right now, which is very poor, so please help Francesco inviting more expensive guests. Another thing we forgot in the slides, we have a demo by Red Bull, since Red Bull is kind of sponsoring the event as well, I know this. So the place where you want to try it it's here. It's a vending machine. There is a hacking game. If you are enough hardcore, you can win a Red Bull for free. But are you good enough? Let's try it out. So if you want it, it's for free. Really, we developed in Becca, and we are basically user testing it. So if you try for us, it's just more fun, and we can discover more bugs. Thank you.
And finally, we remind you that we are going to have our event on the 9th with Cloud Next, and our next event of Speck&Tech is on the 13th of March. This one? Yep. And okay, final remark. Grab the seats that says, you put them on top, you stack them.
No, let's do it live. So every one of you, please stand up.
You stack them the same color with the same shape.
So some of you, a lot of you have a PhD, so we can do it, I'm sure.
Which is to our friends on Facebook.
Yeah, and